Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name's Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy that you could be with me. Um, today, I just got off work. You can tell I'm so tired. If my mom saw this, all she would say is, "You look so tired." Just because I just got off work, had a long day. And, today, one of the reasons I wanted to do, a live stream today is because there's one particular guy, and I dedicated today's program to him. His name is Redawan, who won't come on live stream with me. I just sent him a invitation, so if he wants to come on, you're welcome, Radwan. But if you don't come on, this episode is for you, okay? And it's to answer your question because you're the one who answered this. Now, Radwan does not speak Arabic, so he doesn't know the Arabic Quran. He just knows maybe English. I don't know if he knows any other languages. But anyway, this was something that he said in response to one of my posts on Facebook. He says, the one talking about the Quran, the one in the minds and hearts of Muslims is the only Quran. And then I asked him, well, which one? Is it Radwan, the one in the hearts and minds, from Chinese to Russian to Nigeria to USA, from Tibet to Timbuktu. Okay. And then he says, you choose whichever you like. We all got the same message. Show differences in the messages. And then he said, then send the differences. So he's asking here to show differences in the Qur'ans, between the different Qur'ans. Now, I know that if I want to talk about some of the work that Hatun Tash has done in England, I could, they have 37 different Qur'ans. I believe it's up to 37. It may be more by now. 37 different Qur'ans, and they've found over 100,000 differences between them. I mean, like over 100,000 differences between these different Qur'ans. And so, anyway, so, now when I was a Muslim, like I've said so many times, I was taught that there's only one Quran. I was very much like Radwan. Radwan, I was very much like you. Okay. And Radwan, I sent you an invitation. The invitation is on Facebook. If you want to come on, you're welcome to come on. Let me see if he's here yet. I don't think he's here. Radwan, if you come on to the YouTube, I'll send you an invitation there too. But 2 times in his messages to me today, he said, show the differences, send the differences. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, like I said, when I was taught, and I know that Radwan was taught the same thing, that there's only one Quran. It's unchanging. It's unchangeable. Nobody can change the Quran. It's perfect. Every dot, every letter. It's exactly like what is on the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet up in Al-Jannah, that Jibreel used to go read and then bring down to Muhammad, and Muhammad would recite it to the Sahaba. And so anyway, that's what we were taught. That's what I was taught. That's what I believed. I believed with all my heart. And then all of a sudden you find out, oh, wait a minute, there's some different Qur'ans. Let's before we start, let's watch some sheikhs, because the sheikhs have been clinging on to this for a long time, and now some of the most respected sheikhs, are admitting, what, we've got a problem, and so let me go ahead and see if I can show you this. Okay. I'm not sure if this is the right video, but let me go ahead and try. Okay, we could use this one, okay.
From Pakistan, he says, what's the difference between Hafs and Warsh?
Now, those of you guys who know anything, those are the 2 most famous Qur'ans, is Hafs and Warsh. They're different Qur'ans.
This is a technical question, and I believe Ali asked me this question before on Twitter, and I answered him, and I think he sent it again to my website, and I answered it, but I don't know. Anyhow, benefit of the doubt. These are two different recitations. So we know that
two different recitations. So what they've done now is they don't call them Qur'ans. They call them recitations. Now, one of them's a Quran and one's a recitation, or are both of them Qur'ans, or both of them recitations? He says both are recitation. So Hafs and Warsh. So which one is the real one? Which one is the real Quran?
the Quran came down, was revealed on 7 ahruf. And harf is side. And some explain.
Maybe he doesn't know Arabic. Harf means letter. It means letter, like the letters of the alphabet. Ahruf means letters.
In it as an accent. So it's.
He's saying the accent. This wasn't about accents. This was different Qur'ans.
A different structure of the word.
Different. Okay, now might as well use more complicated words. People don't understand what the heck you're talking about.
With different meanings.
Okay, here is the key thing. Did you just hear what he just said? Let me just play that again. I hope you're watching, Redawan. This is for you.
That do not go against one another, but rather they go in the same channels. That do not go against different structure of the word.
Different structure of the word.
With different meanings.
Different meanings. Okay, different meanings. This is what, you know. So one of them maybe will say butterfly, and the other one will say mountain. One will say a watermelon, and the other one will say donkey. Different meanings. He just said it. You heard it. This is a sheikh. It's not a Christian missionary, a deceptive Christian missionary, because they always blame it on the deceptive Christian missionaries. This is one of your famous sheikhs. Okay.
Different structure of the word with different meanings.
With different meanings. Okay. Did you see that, other one? This is for you, bro. So even if you're not here, even if you don't want to come on, and I sent you an invitation, I want you to come on. But even if you don't come on, I want you to see that I'm not the one who's making this up. I'm not the one who's saying it. This is your sheikh. This is a Muslim sheikh, very famous on YouTube. The sheikh is saying different meanings. Dude, it's not just different words. He didn't want to say different words, so what he said is different structure of the word. And different meanings. Dude, what does this mean? What does this mean? Different meanings between the Qur'ans? Which one is the recitation? He says they're both recitations. The Hafs and the Warsh are both recitation. So which one is the Qur'an? If there's both recitation, which one is the Qur'an? Which one is on the Lawh al-Mahfuz? Because, what I'm dealing with here, what I'm trying to show you, Redawan, is that we were taught, and I don't know how long you've been a Muslim, or maybe your whole life you got a Muslim name, Redawan. We were taught there's only one Quran, perfectly preserved. The Christians messed up theirs, the Jews messed up theirs, but the Muslims have the perfect Quran that's never been changed, can't be changed. That's what I was taught. That's what I was taught. I was taught in school, I was taught at home, I was taught on TV, taught on the radio. There's only one Quran, and it's perfect and perfectly preserved. That's what I was taught. And I know that's what you were taught. And I know when I talk to Muslims on the street, who I love, they all say the exact same thing. There's only one Quran. It's unchanging, unchangeable, from Timbuktu to Hollywood. They're all the same. And so that's, because you say that, because they say that, and and I don't have a problem, and I've said this many times, I don't have a problem that there's all these different Qurans. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem. That's fine that there's all these different Qurans. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. What I do have a problem with is that they still say there's only one Quran, like our dear friend Redawan says right here. He says the one in the minds and hearts of Muslims is the only Quran. And from Nigeria to USA to Tibet, they're all the same. Yeah. And let me see if I got the video. I'll show you the video. These videos I had from a while ago. Let me see if I have it here. I don't know if I have them here. Shoot, I don't have it right here, but I'll play. Well, let me go ahead and play it for you. I do have it. And I know I've played it so many times, I don't want to bore you guys with it, but let's go ahead and show you the video, because it just adds to the problem. It adds to the problem that, they continue with the same old song. It would be great if they would just, for once, say, okay, you guys, we got more than one Quran. There's a bunch more Qurans than one. There's not just one Quran. There's a bunch of them. But they won't say that. They keep saying, nope, there's only one Quran. It can't be changed. Will never be changed. It's okay. Every dot, every letter. Okay, here, let's listen.
So Prophet personally verified when he was alive, whatever was written down of the Quran, whether it was perfect or not.
The question was, do Muslims also have different versions of the Quran? We have no different versions. So we have no different versions of the Quran. The Arabic Quran universally is the same. No difference between one part of the world and another.
There is only one copy of the Quran, and anyone who has a doubt that any word of the Quran is not from it, or the Quran is missing any part, is a disbeliever.
So if you think that there's more than one, you're a disbeliever. Ay, ay, ay. My goodness. So anyway, I mean, they realize they got a problem. And so what did Radwan tell me? He says, send the differences. Okay? Show the differences. Okay, that's what I'm going to do today, Radwan, and I'm doing this for you, bro. I hope you're watching because I'm tired. I was working all day, but I'm doing this for you, okay? Because you said send the differences. First of all, let me show you some of the so-called qira'at. There's Nafi, Ibn Kathir, not Ibn Kathir, the famous scholar, Abu Amr, Ibn Amr, Amir, Asim, Hamza, Kisa'i, and then these are the mutawatir, multiply attested. Then the mashhur, Abu Ja'far, Yaqub, and Khalaf. Now we have all of these Qur'ans. They're all available. You can go to a Muslim bookstore and find all of them. They're all available. And they know about it, but they didn't tell us. They told us there was only one. The Christians changed their Bible. The Jews changed their Bible. But the Muslims perfectly preserved, Allah preserved the Quran. There's only one. And yet they knew that there's all these different ones. That's kind of what's irritating, is that they keep telling people that there's only one. And not just that there's only one. It's one thing if you just say there's only one, but you always kind of got to slam the Christian and the Jews. They corrupted, and they're evil Vatican and some evil Christian sometime in history. Let me just tell you one reason why that's so ridiculous that the Bible would have been changed. Because first of all, there were so many different denominations: the Catholics, the Orthodox, the Protestants, the Assyrian, the Coptic, there's so many different denominations all over the world, different, and they all had the Bible. They all had the Bible. And, to say, because we know that, the belief among Muslims is that the Bible has been corrupted. Well, it wasn't corrupted by the time Muhammad got it, because Muhammad believed in the Bible. Muhammad loved the Bible. He only said good things about the Bible. He never said nothing bad about the Bible. The Quran doesn't say nothing bad about the Bible. Muslims today say bad things about the Bible, but the Quran doesn't. The Quran says, It is the word. It came down from Allah. Nazalna Torah wal Injil. It says that Allah preserves it. Nahnu nazalna dhikr wa nahnu lahu lihafidun. That everybody thinks Muslims say that that's just about the Quran. It's not. It's about dhikr, not about the Quran. And the dhikr, according to the Quran, is the Torah. The dhikr is the Zabur. And so it's not just the Quran. So Allah says He preserves it. And then Allah gives us and the Quran says, La tabdeel li kalimat Allah. Nobody can change the word. And la mubaddil li kalimat Allah. No changer of Allah's words. You can't change it. It's not a possibility. That's what the Quran says. 3 times at least says that. No one can change God's words. Nobody can change God's words. But Muslims say that the Bible's been changed. They still say that. They're going to say it no matter how much proof you give them. And they're going to say the Quran has been preserved. It's perfectly preserved. There's only one. Every letter, every dot, everything's the same. So anyway, I just want to show you a little bit. And I'll show you a couple of things between just 2 Quran. I'm just going to talk about 2. The Hafs and the Warsh, even though there are so many more. There's the Hafs, the Warsh, the Susi, Duri, Kalun, Ibn Kathir, Khalaf, Bazi. These are the different Qur'ans that you can get today, okay? But there's 37, and I believe there's like 7 different Hafs Qur'an. Even the Hafs Qur'an, there's 7 different ones of those. And that one, so anyway, we got a huge problem. So, but I'm just going to look at 2 of them, Redawan, and I'm doing this for you. So I hope you're watching. And if you're not watching, you better watch later because I'm doing this for you. And so, anyway, let me just show you some of these. Emmanuel is trying to, I'm really beginning to believe that Emmanuel is a sinner. Let me see. Brother Emmanuel, even with 1 Quran, it's still a problem. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Emmanuel. I thought you wrote something about curry, because you're trying to, really stick it in my face. Because what did I have to eat for dinner today? I had to eat Little Caesar's pizza. So, and thank God for Little Caesar's pizza. It was awesome. But it's not curry, but heck, it's Little Caesar's pizza. So, but I am beginning to believe you're a sinner, man. But anyway, because Adam is the original sinner, the first sinner. But I kind of gave you a break, but I'm beginning to think you're a sinner too, man. But anyway, let's look at some of the difference. Okay, this is for you, Redawan. You better be here. You better be watching. And Redawan, come on. If you want to come on with me and argue with me, tell me I'm wrong. Fine, but come on. I've invited you so many times, and you still won't come on. So anyway, quattro stagioni. Dude, you guys, I'm eating Little Caesars and Del Taco, and you're talking about all this fancy food. Even though I was on a radio today with someone on a program called On the Road with Jesus. Road is RHODE. And then they took me to a really nice lunch. I had French dip. It was awesome. So anyway, let's look at some of the differences between the Quran. He said, send the differences. That's what my friend Redawan said. So I'm going to show you some of the differences, okay? So let's look at, okay, there's this verse in the Quran. Now I'm showing you the Arabic because the differences, okay? Let me just show you one thing. We're not talking about the translations, the English translation or German or Chinese or whatever. No, we're talking about the original Arabic. That's where they say it's perfect and it's one. Let's look at some of them, okay? Now this is a verse, okay? In the English it says, and they have made the angels who are servants of the Most High, okay? وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِي هُمَّ عَبَادٌ. Look at the word in Arabic. This word is abad, slaves, ar-Rahman, of the merciful. Rahman means the merciful. Okay. Now this verse is in the Hafs. In the Hafs, it's abad. They are the slaves. Are you watching, Redawan? This is very, very important because this hits this issue of different Qur'ans with different meanings, like that Sheikh said, right in the head. Okay, look at this. It says, "Ja'alu al-malaika alladhin hum abad ar-Rahman." They are the slaves of the Most High. But there's a problem between the Hafs and the Warsh, the 2 most famous Qur'ans. Now, Hafs is like 85% of the Muslims read it. 15% read Warsh. And you know what? Algeria made the Hafs illegal. Algeria, which is a huge Muslim country, the Hafs version is illegal in Algeria. That's what I was told, is that it's illegal. They got a different version. I believe it's the Warsh version. So you're going to see the more competition between the Hafs and the Warsh. Okay, but look at how the Hafs writes this compared to how the Warsh, it's not how they translate it, it's how it's written in the Quran. Okay, now if you look here, the top one is Humma Abad ir-Rahman. They are the slaves of the Most Great, talking about the angels. But the bottom one says Humma and ir-Rahman. They are with the Most Gracious. The top one, they are the slaves of the Most Gracious. The bottom one, they are with. I mean, so the change, the change, and let me just show you what the difference is. Here's the word abed, slaves. Okay, notice the dot. Notice where the dot is, you guys. Even if you don't read Arabic, you know the dot right there. The dot is underneath this word. This is where the problem is, you guys. The dot is underneath that, like, smiley face, okay? Well, in the Warsh, the dot is on top. So the whole issue is where this dot is. You see, by being underneath, it makes it the letter B, which it makes it the word abad, slaves of the Most High. But the one has the dot on top. When you put the dot on top, it becomes and. And that word, if anybody speaks Arabic, you know, it means with. And the whole issue, you guys, the whole issue here is this dot. Look at the dot. The dot's on the bottom. The dot's on the top. The dot's on the bottom. The dot's on the top. In the Hafs, the dot is on the bottom. It makes it abad, slaves. In the Warsh, the dot is on top, and it makes it and, which means with. So it goes from abad to with. And what is the problem here, you guys? This is a problem that goes back to Uthman. This is a problem that goes back to Uthman. And it kind of disproves the thing that the Sheikh was saying, that the Quran was revealed in 7 and that the Hafs this is all part of the 7 revelation. Because Uthman burned all the Qurans. Uthman burned all the Qurans. He only left one. So the 7, the thing of this Sab'a Ahruf, they don't exist. Uthman burned them. They don't exist anymore. So what what they have now is something that came up after Uthman. The problem with Uthman, and I know many of you know this, is that he wrote the consonants, but he did not put dots. They didn't do that yet. They didn't have the dots and the and for Arabic, 2/3 of the letters in Arabic have to have a dot, or you don't know what it is. If you don't put the dot, you don't know what the word is. Because if you put, for instance, with this situation, this is a perfect example of the problem. Is you see that kind of that smiley face that the dot is underneath? Well, that smiley face, if you put the dot on the bottom, one dot on the bottom, it is a B, the letter B. If you put the dot on top, like it does here, if you put the dot on top, it becomes Noon, the letter N. If you put 2 dots on top, it becomes T, the letter T. If you put 2 dots on the bottom, it becomes E, which the word would become Eid, which means holiday. They are okay. If you put 3 dots on top, it becomes TH, th. So you see the problem when the dot totally changes the word and it totally changes the meaning. This consonantal structure, you see ignore the dot and the line. Just look at the consonant. You know that if you put the T on top, it becomes atad, which means like to threaten. Not necessarily to threaten, but like to attack, atad. If you put 2 dots on the bottom, it becomes Eid, which means holiday. If you put it on top, 1 dot, it's and, which means with, which is what this is. If you put 1 dot on the bottom, it becomes abad or abd, which means slaves. So you see, the problem is that Uthman did not put dots on his letter, to where somebody later on came around and started putting dots all over the place. And most of the problems that I'm going to show you today is because of that, because they didn't know where to put the dots and dashes. And so by putting the dot on the bottom, it becomes abd, slaves. By putting the dot on top, it becomes ind, which means with. And so that's where you end up with this humongous problem that the Hafs says, Humma abad rahman, they are the slave, talking about angels. They are the slaves of the gracious. And where in the bottom, because the dot is on top, they are with the most gracious. Now, are you going to tell me that that is the same meaning? You're going to tell me those two are the same meaning? Slaves and with, that's the same meaning? But just like the Sheikh says, you got different meanings. You got a big, big, big headache. You got a big, big, big headache. This is a huge headache because I'm only showing you one word. This is all through the different Qur'ans. And like I said, 90,000 differences between these, the 37 that, Hatun Tash has so far. They've got about 100,000 differences between them. I'm just going to show you some of them. Here's another problem between the Hafs and the Warsh. Okay, now there's a bunch of different Qur'ans. I'm just going to show you the Hafs and the Warsh. Okay, this is from the very first surah in the Quran. It's called Malik Yawmiddin. Malik Yawmiddin, which Fatha, it's like the Lord's Prayer for Muslims. They say it many times a day. It's at the beginning of their prayers, at the end of their prayers, at every wedding, at every engagement, at every funeral. It's the most important prayer. It's called the Fatiha. It's the first surah in the Quran. Well, in the first surah of the Quran, there's a difference between the Hafs and the Warsh. The Warsh, the Hafs, the one that 85% of Muslims say, and this is what I was taught, because in Palestine they use the Hafs, is Malik Yawmiddin. Malik Yawmiddin, which means the owner of the day of judgment. Malik Yawmiddin, the owner, or the Lord of the day of judgment. But the Warsh says Maliki Yawmiddin. Malik Yawmiddin, which means the king of the day of judgment. Now, is there a similarity between the owner and Lord and the king? Yeah, there's a similarity, but the words are different. And so you're going to ask, now one is the owner, one is the king. Now you can be a king without being you can be an owner without being a king. And you can be a king without being, it's unlikely that you're going to be a king without being an owner, but you can be an owner without being a king, for sure. And so are they synonymous? No, they're not synonymous. And this creates another huge headache. And let me just show you, because there's other, this word in different, I think one is like el-susi. Here you see the different ways that Malik Yawmiddin is translated. The first one is Malik, the second one is Maliki, and the third one is Melik, and this is from the Hafs, Warsh, I believe Susi, You see, we haven't even touched the Susi, Dudi, Kalun. Kalun is very famous in Libya. In Libya, they like the Kalun. But do you see the problems here? You got different meanings, brother. Redawan, you got different meanings. Malik or Melik, which one is it? Owner or king? Now, most Muslims say Malik Yawmiddin, the owner of the day of judgment. But not everybody says that. And that version is now illegal in Algeria. In Algeria, it's Malik Yawmiddin. And so are they not Muslims because they say it that way? Well, they think you're not, if you're going to say that, they're going to say the same thing about you. So anyway, here's another one. And this one is a very interesting problem. This is from Surah 21. I'm not sure exactly what the Surah is. I think it's Anbiya, but I may be wrong. Prophets. This one is, you can tell the difference. In the Hafs, look at the top one. The top one, it looks like kul, which means say. And then the bottom one is qala, which means he said. Okay, and And so, but you can tell that one of them is like one, it looks like one unit, whereas the bottom one has two. It has three separate letters, but it's like two units because two of the letters are together. But on the top, it's just two letters, whereas on the bottom, it's three letters. Kul and kal. Here's what it means in English. This is why it's such a problem when you look at what the meaning, because it completely changes the meaning of the verse. One is the Hafs, one is the Warsh. Look at the difference. Here's the difference in English. Qala, which is the Hafs version, says, he, the prophet, said, my Lord knows whatever is said throughout the heaven and earth, and he is the hearing and the knowing. The Warsh says, kul, which means say. It's a command. Say, O Muhammad. This is Allah speaking now. Say, O Muhammad, the Lord knows whatever is said throughout the heaven and earth. He is a seeing and hearing. Knows. So you see the difference here? Once Muhammad is being commanded to say this, and once the prophet just says it. So it eliminates Allah from the verse, because in one case Allah's commanding, but in the other case Allah's not commanding. So it's just the prophet is saying, alleged prophet. So anyway, so see, it affects the meaning. The whole meaning is changed. Okay, and let me just go back. There's one. Okay, this one, I want to show you this one. And I know I've done this many times, and I know that Adam has done this one too. And this is a very important one because this is in 57:24. Now, the meaning is almost the same, Redawan. The meaning, one says Allah il-Ghani, which means God is, here it says self-sufficient. Ghani also means rich. It also means rich. So, but self-sufficient, okay? But in the Hafs, it's Allah hu el-Ghani. Allah, he is the self-sufficient. Whereas the other one is Allah is self-sufficient. But there's a whole different word added. Now, the meaning doesn't really change that much. The only thing is a whole different word is added. So in the Hafs version, it's 3 words, whereas in the Warsh version, it's only 2 words. It's like saying they're supposed to be identical, and one says he is rich, and the other one says he's rich, or he rich. And it's 3 different words in the Hafs. That means that the Hafs not only has different dots, different diacritical marks, different vowels, and different pronunciation. If you want to say one's from Australia, one's from Ireland, but you actually have an added word. There's an added word in this verse. One is 2 words, one is 3 words in Arabic. If you look at it, if you don't understand the Arabic, but even if you look at it and you don't understand the Arabic, you can tell. You see where the blue arrow is pointing in the one on the left, that is the extra word. It's hu, which means he. It means he. It's pronounced hu in Arabic, but it's he. It's a whole new word. It's a whole different word. So the Hafs version has added words that are not even in the Warsh. So to say that they're the same, that they're not different, is ridiculous. And you know what? It really does come very close to actually changing the meaning as well. And so, okay, now let's look at some other ones. And now most of the ones I'm going to show you now, the problem with them is the problem I told you. It's the same problem that you had with this verse. And that is that they did not have diacritical marks in the time of Uthman. When Uthman wrote his Quran, he burned all the other ones. He burned the Sab'a Ahraf. They don't exist no more. He burned them. And he made his new Quran, the Uthmani Quran. But in the Uthmani Quran, there was no diacritical mark. So you kind of had to guess. Was it an N? Is it a T? Is it a Y? Is it a TH? Is it a B? Is it an N? What is it? You had to guess because they didn't have the diacritical marks at the time. They added the diacritical marks a few hundred years later. There was a guy named Al-Duwali who did that, and he added some dots all over the place, but they weren't consistent in how where they put the dots. And so because of that, you got all these different Qur'ans with different meanings. And all of the words I'm going to show you now, they're different, but they're only different because of the dots, meaning that you can see exactly what the problem was. They had the consonants, but they did not have the diacritical marks. The diacritical marks change the meanings of these words. And so the rest of them all have that same problem. So let me give you this example. Now, this right here, Redawan, the top one, it means they make. They make. Ya'amilun. Ya'amilun. You see the two dots? See the two dots at the very... Okay, now remember, Arabic goes from right to left. Arabic goes right to left, not left to right like English. It goes right to left. So look at the first letter on the right, and you see two dots underneath it. Ya'amilun, they make. Ya'amilun, they make. Okay, but because the two dots are underneath, it is they make. They make. Now, if you look at the underneath, you notice, again, look at the right, far right. That's the first, that's where the word begins. You notice the two dots are on top. When you put the two dots on top, it becomes a T, and it's ta'amilun. You, plural, make. The top one is ya'amilun, they make. The bottom one is ta'amilun, which means you make. So what you've done with this, where the dot is, that you have changed. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 85. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 85. And by doing that, you've changed the subject of the sentence. You've changed the subject. The first one is ya'amilun. They are the ones who are making. But when you put the two dots on top, ta'amilun, the subject is now you. You are making. Now, is that the same meaning? Is that the same meaning? No. The Hab says they, the Warsh says you. That's a huge difference, okay? The subject is different, okay? So now let's look at another one. Okay. Ma tunzil. Okay. Ma tunzil. Now this is 15:8. Now this is a very important verse right here in the Quran because it's right before 15:9, one of the most famous verses in the Quran. Inna nahnu nazalna dhikr wa nahnu lahu lahafidhun. We sent down the reminder and we preserve it. That's 15:9. This is 15:8. And it says, Ma tunzil. It does not, Ma tunzil. You don't send down. You don't send down. Ma tunzil. You don't send down. But the bottom one is Ma nunzil. We don't send down. You see, you put the two dots on top. And you see the only difference, if you look carefully, what you'll notice is that the top one has two dots on the beginning of the second word, whereas the bottom one has one dot. And the top one is Ma tunzil, tanzilu. You don't send down. And the bottom one, ma nunzil, we don't send down. So again, the one dot has changed the meaning of the word from you to we. Okay, so it's a huge problem, you guys. Okay, this verse about the seven ahruf, the seven modes of the Quran. Okay, this one, fan wa fihum. Fan wa fihum says, we will make them die, or we will finish them off. We will finish them. Fan wa fihum, we will finish them. Whereas the bottom one, Fay wa fihim, he will finish, or he will make them to die. Fan, with the dot on top, fan wa fihim, we will make them to die. With the on the bottom, Fay wa, he will make them to die. And it's because of the dots are different. This is in 357. Okay. Nahshuruhum. We constrain them. Nahshurhum. We. It's like tahshur means that you are like siege, putting people under siege. Nahshurhum. We're pressing them, oppressing them, it's really like you're pressing on them. Nahshurhum. Okay, but on the top one is nahshur. We are constraining them, whereas the bottom yahshur, he is constraining them. And this is all because of where the dots are, you guys. Okay, now this one is very important. Now this is from 12.109. It says yoha. That means he inspires. Whereas the bottom one is noha, which is we inspire. I really would like to, I really think we ought to look at that. Because, when you're talking about the wahi, the inspiration, you're really talking about an act of God, that he's the one who reveals. It's an act of revelation. And so I'm kind of curious to see what the whole verse says. And so I'm just going to go there just to see, because, dude, this completely changes the meaning. Okay, Redawan, I'm showing you, you said show the differences. I'm showing you the differences because I care about you and I want you to know that you cannot trust the Quran and to just leave Islam and come to the Lord Jesus Christ. That's why I'm doing this, bro. I'm doing this for you. Okay, so I'm hoping you're watching. Okay, this is what the verse says. Kill Joseph or cast him out to some distant land so that our father's attention will be only ours. After that, you may repent and become a righteous people. Now, this is 12.9. I don't see the word yoha. I don't see the word yoha. Let me see. Maybe it's different in the house from the Welsh. I don't see the word yoha. Oh, 12.109. Sorry, you guys. Okay, 12.109. Okay, because I want to see what the word. Okay, let's look at 109. 109. 109. Okay. It's okay. Here it is. We only sent before you. Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and show it to you. Let me show it to you. Okay. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Let me just show you. Share the screen so you can see the verse actually. This is the verse that it comes from. Okay. Here's the Arabic and the English. Let's look at the English. We only sent before you, O Prophet, men inspired by us from among the people of each society. Inspired by us. Okay, in Arabic, أرسلنا من قبلك إلى رجال نوحى إليهم. Now, in the Hafs, okay, we revealed to them, but yuha. And you see, in the Hafs, in the Welsh version, it's yuha ilayhum. It doesn't say we revealed to them, but it says was revealed to them. Yuha ilayhum, was revealed to them. So it just eliminates Allah, Allah saying that the men before him, he inspired them. But the other one, it says it wasn't necessarily saying that Allah was inspired. It just says that they were inspired, but it doesn't say by whom. So that's a huge problem, man. That's a huge problem. That's a huge difference. So anyway, let me see if there's any comments I'd like to respond to. I only have a few more, you guys. I don't have that many more to show you, but I see if there's any comments that I could respond to. All wiped out. Okay. Strong Christian missionaries founded. Okay. Okay. Seems like there's another conversation going on here. Let's see. Zakir Naik is CP's. Okay. Looks like we got a different conversation going on here. Harassed me in my message. Okay. So we got some different conversations going on here. Messenger, of course, is angel. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. The Malak, it's very similar in the Arabic and in the Hebrew. Malak, messenger. Malak in the Arabic means also angel. Malaika is angels. So anyway, so yeah, let me go ahead and show you a couple more of these. And oh, let's see what was said there. Something about angels. Angelos is angel, yes. Okay, let me just show you a couple more. So, okay, we already did that one. Now, okay, my thumbs. Okay, now I showed you these, and there was one that I wanted to show you that that I didn't have here, and it is the one where the word is katale, qatala, or kutila. And I don't think I have it here, but what it is I can, let me see if I can, let me see if I could just bring it for you real quickly, because it's a really important, because it really changes the meaning. Let me see if I could, let me see if I can just get this really quickly so I can show it to you. Okay, this one doesn't have it. It's just one other one that has, but it's a very important difference because it completely changed. And you guys, there's so many of these. There's so many. We could spend a year going through all the differences between just the Hafs and the Wash. Never mind the other ones. But I'm just trying to show you some of them, some of the big differences. Okay, shoot, this doesn't have it either. Let me see. Okay, let's look at some of the, I know they're going to have it because it's one of the most important ones, which is a verse where it says that the prophets fought. The prophets fought. And where is that? There's one that says the 51 differences. Okay. Okay. Shoot. All right. I don't have it with me. But let me see. Let me see if I can just pull this, because it really is an important one. Okay, here it is. I got it for you here. This one is really important because it completely changes the meaning. It completely changes the meaning of the words. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll just put this page up here, and some of these I've already showed to you, but but let me go ahead and show it to you anyway, just because there's one particular thing I want to show you. There's one particular word that I wanted to show you. Okay, these are some of the differences right here. Miskeen. One of them is miskeen, which means a poor person. Another one means mesakin, which means poor people. And the reason that's such a huge problem is that one of them says, one way to get your sins forgiven is feed a poor person. But on the other one, the one to get your sins forgiven is feed poor people. So you don't know if you're supposed to feed one or a bunch of people. So let me see. The one that I'm looking for is qatale, because one of them says qatale, one says qatale. And I know this is one of the most popular differences between the Hafs and the Warsh, and all of the, whenever they make a comparison, they always have this qatale and qatale. Kutila. Qatala means the prophets fought, whereas kutil means the prophets were killed. And so this is, okay, dude, they don't have it here. So anyway, so you're going to have to take my word for it, but I will get it for you. I don't want to waste any more of your time. But one of them says that the prophet fought. But you see, because of the way that they put the dots, the other one says the prophets were killed. One qatala, one is kutil. And so just the way that they shape, put the letter, they actually add a letter. Qatala has an extra letter, the A, where qatala means they fought, the prophets fought. Whereas kutil, which is the Warsh version, means the prophets were killed. So one is the prophets fought, The other is the prophets were killed, and it's because of that one letter, qatala, qutila. So, there's huge differences between these. So anyway, I showed you some of the differences there, Radwan. There are many, 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 many more. I could, like I said, I could sit here for an hour and show you an hour. I could sit here for a week and show you some of the differences. Okay. Okay. But let's go ahead and listen to Shabir Ali.
With you the history of the rise and development of readings and manuscripts of the Quran. Today, most Muslims read the Quran in a text that is referred to as the Egyptian edition of 1924. That's how scholars refer to it. Most Muslims
Scholars call it the Egyptian. So the version of Quran, if you were reading Arabic, I know you don't read Arabic, Radwan, but if you were, more than likely you'd be reading this Egyptian version of 1924, which is called the Hafs version.
may not have realized that this is like designation for that manuscript, for that text to Muslims in general. This is just simply the Quran. But this is not the only...
You see what he's saying? It's kind of almost insulting the way he's saying that. It says for most Muslims, they don't know it's Hafs or anything. It's just the Quran. So if you go to Algeria and they're reading the Warsh, to them it's just the Quran. If you go to Sudan, they're reading the Susi. To them, it's just the Quran. It's not the Susi. It's just the. If you go to Saudi Arabia or to Palestine or to Egypt, they're reading the Hafs version. To them, it's not the Hafs version. It's just the Quran. You see? So each one thinks they have the Quran.
Muslims in general, this is just simply the Quran. But this is not the only text of the Quran.
This is not the only text of the Quran. Did you hear that? This is one of the most, like one of the most famous scholars, Islamic scholars in the world right now, Shabir Ali. He has TV shows for years. And listen to what he said. He says there are more, listen to what he said again.
That manuscript for that text to Muslims in general. This is just simply the Quran. But this is not the only text of the Quran.
This is not the only text of the Quran. Okay, Radwan? It's not me saying it. It's a Muslim scholar.
That is read throughout the world.
It's not the only text of the Quran read throughout the world. Listen to it again.
But this is not the only text of the Quran that is read throughout the world. In North Africa, there is a slightly different text.
In North Africa, there's a slightly different text.
That is based on a slightly different reading.
Based on a slightly different, you see, because he was one of the proponents of one Quran, every dot, every letter, every preservation, until Hadun Taj, J. Smith, and all Sham Shimon, and all of them kept on hammering them about these different Qurans. And then what happened? Now they're starting to say, well, maybe there is these, but they're just slightly different.
Mostly corresponding to what we read in the rest.
Mostly corresponding. Now that doesn't sound like what I was taught, that there's one Quran, every dot, every letter, every harf, every dash, every dhamma, every kasra, everything is the same. No, now it's slightly different, mostly corresponding to the
rest of the world, but with some slight variation.
With slight variations. Okay.
That do not affect anything that Muslims believe.
Do not affect anything Muslims believe. This sounds like the way Christians used to defend the Bible from attacks against it. Is that if you look at some of the manuscripts, there might be a different or a letter or something, because people make mistakes, and obviously they made tons of mistakes with the Quran, over 90,000 of them. But sometimes in the copying they may leave a letter out or add, or something. But this is how the Christians used to, and the Muslims were saying, no, we only have one Quran all over the world. It's the same, identical. Nobody can change it from China to Hollywood and everywhere in between. But now they're saying, oh, there's slight variations.
and do not have any major impact on any Muslim practices.
It has no major impact on any. It should have one impact, and that is because you know what? You go tomorrow, they're going to still tell you there's only one Quran. Every letter is preserved, every dot, every letter, everything is perfect. That's what they're going to tell you tomorrow. So they're going to continue to tell you that. And yet, here he is telling you the truth, that there's these differences.
And then, too, in some parts of Africa, there is another reading of the Quran.
Another reading. There's another one.
Quran and a matching manuscript that is prevalent. And here, too, we find some slight variations.
Slight variations.
That do not affect Muslim beliefs and do not affect Muslim practices in any significant degree.
Significant way. Okay. You see the problem here, you guys? You see the problem, Redawan? I hope you're watching, Redawan. You see the problem? They told us there's one, perfectly preserved. They told us what Ahmed Didat said. They told us what Ahmed Didat said, okay? What we heard from them all these years, okay? What I was brought up with, what you were brought up with, if you are Muslim, if you were Muslim.
The question was, do Muslims also have different versions of the Quran? We have no different versions. So we have no different versions of the Quran. The Arabic Quran universally is the same. No difference between one part of the world and another.
So how do we make sense of all of this? We want to retrace the history of how these manuscripts became divergent. How is it that we have a variety of readings of the Quran and manuscripts to match?
Wow, how is it that we have all these issues? But and I don't mind. Like I've said 100 times, it doesn't matter to me if there's 500 different Qur'ans. My only problem is that they're still saying there's only one Qur'an. There's only one. Because this is what they were brainwashed. This is what they were told by the likes of, let's see, how about this
There is only one copy of the Quran. And anyone who has a doubt that any word of the Quran is not from it, or the Quran is missing any part, is a disbeliever.
You're a disbeliever. You're a kafir. If you say, and is Shabir Ali a kafir? Is Shabir Ali a kafir? It's Shabir Ali who's saying it. Is he a kafir? You just gotta wonder. Let's see if he's got anything else to say that we can learn from. Unlikely, but
or rather, even now printed texts to match. Now, today, in a Muslim college in which imams are being trained to serve the community, an imam, if he specializes in the recitations of the Quran, he may be taught as many as 10 different recitations of
10 Qur'ans. Did you hear that, Redawan? 10. Redawan, where are you, my friend? Come on with me live. Don't argue with me. Argue with this guy.
The Prophet personally verified when he was alive, whatever was written down of the Quran, whether it was perfect or not.
Of the Quran. And these 10 recitations complement each other. They basically, again, have no effect on the beliefs of Muslims. And they do not affect in any significant degree the practices of Muslims. So we want to get a grip of this. How did all of this come to pass? Muslim scholars have made sense of this by referring to
They made sense of. They have not made sense of it. They have not made sense of it.
tradition, according to which the Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace, said that the Quran has been revealed in 7 ahruf. And I have to come back and explain that term.
Yeah, he wants to tell you about the 7 ahruf. Let me just tell you one little problem with what, if he starts going off on the ahruf thing. The problem with that is Uthman burned all the Qur'ans. He burned the Qur'ans. So Uthman burned them and made one standard Quran. So anything, if Muhammad got 7 or 10 or 15 ahruf, it doesn't matter. They were burned by Uthman. Uthman burned them, and it's commonly believed he burned 6 Qurans. This was commonly believed he burned 6, which would mean if there were 7 ahruf, he burned 6 of them, and only 1 remains. He kept 1. And so he's going on the ahruf, that the ahruf are what has led to what we have, the recitation. But the problem is the ahruf were burned. Uthman came up with his Quran. Okay, so, anyway, what we need to have is Jay Smith on. I'll try to get him on one time so that he could really tell us about these different recitations, because I know he has done a chart about, about these different recitations. But let's hear what Shabir Ali says.
Ahruf. In any case, that tradition says you can recite of any of these, whichever is easy for you. And moreover, that each one of them by itself is complete, and each one serves as a healing. Now, to you,
each one serves as a what? Each one serves as a what?
The healing. Now, to use each one serves as a healing.
As a healing? Dude, what the heck is he talking about? What is a healing? Each one serves whichever one's easy for you. You guys, I know if we brought Adam on, Adam could tell you when he didn't recite the Quran quickly, he was beaten. He was beaten. Kids are beaten to memorize the Quran correctly. And now he's saying you can memorize whichever one is easier for you. Redawan, are you listening? Recite whichever one is easier for you. I thought there was one Quran. Now he's talking about 10. He's talking about 10. Shabir Ali's talking about 10. And he talked about another 7. Muhammad 7 ahruf. Is it 10? Is it 7? Is it 17? What is it? You guys, they told us there was 1. I was told there was 1. I hope Muslims are watching, because you guys were told there was 1 too. They lied to you too. They told you there was 1. They told us there was 1. They told you there was 1. What's going on here? This guy's cracking me up, man.
Now, to use comparable language from our Christian friends, we see that sometimes there is the statement, that which is sufficient for your salvation. So it looks like what...
which Christian says that? That which is sufficient for your salvation. What Christian says? I've never heard that before. He's trying to get out of this because he knows because he knows that the dam has broken. And largely thank you to Jay Smith and to Hatun Tash and to, Father Zechariah has also been talking about this for years, you guys. And the flood, the dam, there's a crack in the dam and the water's coming through. And so he's trying to prevent what's going to happen. I believe it's called the tsunami of apostasy, which is Muslims are going to flee because they're going to say, what? You lied to us about this? What else did you lie to us about?
This tradition is saying is that if you read according to any one of the readings, then this is sufficient for your salvation.
You guys, I don't know, if you haven't been a Muslim, if you weren't brought up under the strict, solid, dude, there's 1 Quran. It's never been changed. It's perfect. No one can change it. We sent it down and we preserve it. It's perfect. And then you hear something like this. And then you hear that the sheikhs all knew about it because they were learning 10 different versions of the Quran. They were learning it. And Ahmed Didat tells us it's absolute. The Arabic Quran is perfect everywhere. What are people supposed to do with all this?
And with this in mind, it gives great comfort to the average Muslim knowing that you can read just one of these readings in.
What about the ones who were beaten because they didn't read it correctly?
One text, like for example, the 1924 Cairo edition of the.
And I just want to tell you, Redawan, if you have an Arabic Quran, more than likely that's the one he's talking about, the 1924. It's been around since 1920. It was around before then, but I'm going to show you some stuff about Hafs too. But
Quran, and that is sufficient for you as a book of guidance.
Sufficient for you, dude. You know, we could listen to more. I don't want to. You know, it makes me feel like they lied to us. They lied to us. And some people were so committed to it. And to this day, no matter what you tell them, there's one Quran perfectly preserved. Everything, the Bible's been changed, but the Quran is perfect. They're still going to say that. They're still going to say that. But here's Shabir Ali, one of the greatest Islamic scholars in the world, telling you, you got all these different Qurans. You know, it's like, let me see, I got one more video. I won't show the whole thing. I'll just show a little bit of it, but I don't know if I'm not sure if I have it. Let me see. Let me see if this may be it. Oh, okay, here's our best friend.
A complex and difficult topic to understand when it comes to the sciences of the Quran. And it is a topic that always raises a lot of confusion and a lot of questions. So we will summarize it to the best of my capabilities. And if there are still questions left, I would encourage you to do some further reading. There is much material available in Arabic and, of course, in English as well. And some of the books I have already
But remember what Yasser Qadi said about it. And when you do the deep dive, that's when you're going to get big headache. You have a headache now, do a deep dive, because the headache gets bigger. It turns into a migraine at that point. Remember, he said that about this subject, the Sab'a Ahruf and the Qira'at. You know,
reference to you. What is this topic that people find so confusing? The topic is that of the various recitations of the Quran, the various different ways of how to recite the Quran. And when we say the various different ways to recite the Quran, we are not talking about different voices or different styles. We're talking about slight differences in pronunciations, slight differences in letters, slight differences in harakat. In other words, if you were to compare two printed Qurans, you're going to see differences between them. And this is something that many people are unaware of and many people have heard but are not fully familiar with, especially those who have been exposed to some of our brothers who live in Algeria or Morocco or other North African countries. They recite the Quran in a slightly different way, not just a voice or not just a speaking style, but also changes in letters and words and harakat. What is this and where does it all come?
One thing he didn't say yet is differences in meanings. Differences in meanings. So, you know, he's still trying to be politically correct with this thing. But I think possibly the best way to end this is with Yasser Qadi, because yet when he's being honest, because there was one point where he was being honest. And so I'm going to go to that video, and I just want to make that my last video, and then I'm going to close. I'm going to close after that. But you know, there's one video where he was honest, and where he didn't, you know what? And he gets into so much trouble because he says stuff that's so unorthodox all the time. And I think it's because he was brought up in an American school system, in a Western school system, where they, you know, he even admits the lines, you know, they don't put up with just sloppy answers. They want real answers. And so I think that's why he keeps saying stuff that gets him into trouble. The people who say he's a kafir now, even though he's one of the most famous scholars in America. So, but this is the interview where he really talks about this subject and where he's really honest about it.
Every single student of knowledge knows, who studies Ulum al-Quran, that the most difficult topics are ahruf and qira'at, and the concept of ahruf and the reality of ahruf and the relationship of the Uthmanic Mus'haf with the ahruf and the preservation of the ahruf. Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 7? And the relationship of the qira'at to the ahruf. This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out. And you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of ahruf and qira'at caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet said, if you want to listen to the Quran.
So anyway, I played it so many times, I don't want to bore you guys with it again. But there he was really being honest. He said, when it's the beginning, you just regurgitate. Dude, what a thing to say to your teachers. I mean, to your students. You just regurgitate. It's like you vomit whatever you heard. It's like you're not thinking. You don't think. You just repeat like a parrot. Regurgitate, you know, like a parrot. You just say whatever your teachers tell you. That's what he's saying. And then when you go a little bit deeper, then, you know, you start having some questions. But then when you do the deep dive, you really want to find out about, that's when you leave Islam. I think Yasser Qadhi's close to doing that. I'm expecting, let's pray for him that the Lord save him. Because I think he's close to, even though every now and then he'll just come out with these crazy things like he's, you know, when he said about Muhammad, why are people attracted? What's so special about Muhammad? He said he was so handsome. He was so beautiful and handsome. He had this white, creamy skin, and he was so handsome and beautiful, and people were so attracted to him. And when you see him do stuff like that, you think, dude, what's going on? You're a Princeton or Yale graduate, man. But anyway, I just want to show you some of those videos. But Redawan, you asked me. You said that let's go look at Redawan's. Let's look at what Redawan said again. The last time. I think this is it here. No. Sorry. Let's see. Where did I put it? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, this one. This right here. Redawan told me. He says at the very last things there. He says, you choose whatever you like. We all got the same message. Show differences in the message. Then send the differences. Bro, I showed you the differences. I showed you the differences. Now, you don't read Arabic, so that's kind of puts a limitation on things, but I showed you the differences. I showed you many differences. You know, it'll just get boring if I keep on showing you all these differences. There's so many. It just goes on forever, and if people don't understand Arabic, it just gets boring to see it because they don't understand the letters and what the words mean. But bro, there's so many differences. This book was not preserved. The book was not preserved, you know, and there's so many different ones. And so, you know, if you believe there's one Quran, you can say, oh, it's the one in the heart, dude. That's not the one that, you know, Allah says he preserves. He sent it down. It's the one he sent down that he's supposed to preserve. That one's not preserved. Allah didn't preserve it. And, you know, I don't need to tell you about Aisha and the goat. I don't need to tell you about when Aisha said that Surat al-Anfal, I believe it is, most of it is gone. Like 2/3 of it is missing. It used to be as long as Surat al-Baqarah. You know, you got stuff like this in the Hadith. You know, and I did a video. Go back and see my video of over 700 missing verses of the Quran. Over 700 missing verses of the Quran. I did a video about that. And over 753 missing verses of the Quran. Where are they? They talk about them. They talk about them in the Hadith. And they still practice them. For instance, stoning adulterers. They still practice them. They still stone adulterers, but it's not in the Quran. But it used to be. The Hadith tells you that. So there's a known about 750 verses that are missing. Those are just some of them. There's more. Meaning that this book was not preserved. This book was not preserved. And and so anyway, and because it wasn't preserved, and you were told that it was preserved, that means somebody lied to you, like they lied to me, and they're lying to millions and billions of people. Not billions, but almost. There's about 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. They're being lied to. If you want to keep now, now that you're being lied to. Shabir Ali told you. Yasser Qadi told you. If you still want to believe the lie, you can. But you'll be held accountable on Judgment Day. God's going to tell you, why didn't you come to Jesus? Why didn't you come to Jesus? You'll say, well, because I was raised a Muslim and I believe in la ilaha illallah. No. You can tell him all that. And he says, yeah, but I showed you that it was false. You say, well, no, I believed it with all my. He says, well, I showed you. You had a brain. You chose not to use it. Dude, these have eternal consequences for you. If you want to believe a lie, it'll cost you your eternity. Come to Jesus now. They lied to you about that. What else did they lie to you about? I'll tell you what else they lied to you about. They did not kill him. They did not crucify him, but it was made to appear so. That's a lie. They did kill him. They did crucify him. He died for you because he loves you. He died for you because he loves you. Come to him today. Give him your life. Open your heart. Say, Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Say it now. Jesus, help me. Say it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. He loves you. We love you. Thank you guys for being with us. We had a pretty good crowd. We got almost to 50. I haven't been to 50 in quite a while by myself. When Sam comes on, we get almost 60, and sometimes when Adam comes on, we get that. But by myself, I usually don't get that much. So that was pretty good tonight. So thank you guys for coming on. Love you guys. Have a great night. And we will see you soon. The Lord be with you. He loves you. Have a great night.